There's free speech and then there's hate speech. And there is no place, especially now, especially after what happened to Charlie, in our society.
Hey guys, welcome back to another video, another breaking news update. MAGA and conservative commentators are in uproar right now against Trump's Attorney General Pam Bondi because she just dropped some of the most constitutionally illiterate anti-free speech remarks made by any attorney general in my lifetime. All, of course, coming in the context of everything that's happening with Charlie Kirk right now. Take a listen to what Pam Bondi, who again is the Attorney General of the United States, had to say about hate speech, where she almost sounds like a woke social justice warrior. Listen to this.
There's free speech and then there's hate speech. And there is no place, especially now, especially after what happened to Charlie, in our society.
Do you see more law enforcement going after these groups who are using hate speech and putting cuffs on people so we show them that some action is better than no action?
We will absolutely target you, go after you, if you are targeting anyone with hate speech, anything. And that's across the aisle.
Excuse me. What? What? I'm gonna crash out. How can the Attorney General of the United States say something so objectively incorrect and untrue? Hate speech is free speech. There's no exception to the First Amendment called hate speech. That's not a thing. The Supreme Court has affirmed this over and over and over again. All hate speech means is speech I hate. It's totally subjective. For many people in this country, the idea that there are only two genders is hate speech. So, of course, I personally condemn people who are celebrating Charlie Kirk's murder, and anybody who is actively inciting violence, that is a separate category of potential criminal activity or speech. But just to say, oh, anyone doing hate speech, we're going to prosecute with the government, you can't do that. That's not a thing. That directly contravenes the First Amendment. And this is always what the woke left said. We're going to stop hate speech. Hate speech isn't free speech. And Republicans and conservatives were like, whoa, 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 that's not how this works. Now we've got a Republican attorney general getting this mixed up. This is totally indefensible to me. This is an abomination. And if you have this level of constitutional illiteracy, you should not be the Attorney General of the United States. President Trump should fire her for this statement because it demonstrates an ignorance, a well of ignorance about our Constitution and about our First Amendment that is totally unacceptable for the nation's highest ranking lawyer. It's actually crazy. The thing that's given me hope about this, though, is that basically across the spectrum, the right is dunking on her. Nobody is defending her or backing her up on this. Let me read you some posts that are going viral on X right now. So first off, though, actually, I want to share something different. I want to share, and rest in peace, Charlie Kirk. I want to share this Charlie Kirk tweet that's going viral right now again because of what Pam Bondi just said. Hate speech does not exist legally in America. There's ugly speech, there's gross speech, there's evil speech. All of it is protected by the First Amendment. Keep America free. Charlie tweeted that just last year, and he was so correct, so spot on, but apparently our Republican Attorney General doesn't get it. Yeah, that's really concerning to me, but it's not just Charlie. Basically, everyone on the right has taken this position over the years, and many of them are sticking to it, and I give them tremendous credit for that, despite my other disagreements. So, for example, Matt Walsh, the Daily Wire host, said there should be social consequences for people who openly celebrate the murder of an innocent man, but there obviously shouldn't be any legal repercussions for, quote, hate speech, which is not even a valid or coherent concept. There is no law against saying hateful things, and there shouldn't be. He's exactly right. And the idea that any conservative or Republican would support government prosecuting or punishing hateful speech is so dumb, because in the eyes of like Democratic administrations or progressives, so many boilerplate conservative opinions are hateful. It's just such a recipe for disaster and for getting your own side silenced and shut down. Glenn Greenwald, who is on the left, but he's a free speech guy and journalist, wrote, Pam Bondi's noxious claim that there's a hate speech exception to free speech and you can thus be prosecuted for it is not only a total distortion of the First Amendment's clear language, it's also a theory the Supreme Court has rejected and was the foundation of left liberal censorship. Exactly. He's exactly right. This is exactly what the unhinged woke left crazies said for years to justify censorship. And now what? The Trump administration's attorney general is saying it. I feel like I'm going insane. I'm going crazy. This is upside down world. This should not be happening. Piers Morgan, the UK-based journalist and commentator, wrote, ironically, Charlie Kirk would hate this ridiculous statement. He believed in the complete opposite, that free speech means tolerance of all speech, including hateful speech, unless it's a direct threat or incitement to violence. That's the whole point of the First Amendment. Wow. I like Piers. I respect Piers. He is exactly right. And I wrote this to him on X, and it's a little bit of a joke, but it's sad that a Brit of all people understands our First Amendment better than our Attorney General. That is diabolical, given everything they've got going on and their clear disregard for freedom of speech in recent years. Now, perhaps unsurprisingly, Pam Bondi is in damage control mode. She put out a statement on X that attempted to clarify her statements. I'll read it to you now. She wrote, hate speech that crosses the line into threats of violence is not protected by the First Amendment. It's a crime. For far too long, we've watched the radical left normalize threats, call for assassinations, and cheer on political violence. That era is over. I'm sorry, but you can't just do this. You can't just rewrite the comments you made on video, on camera. You weren't talking about threats. You weren't talking about incitement. If you were, you would have used those words because those are actual legal concepts with definitions. You said hate speech. Hate speech that crosses the line into threats of violence is not protected by the First Amendment. That's just called threats. That's called true threats in First Amendment law. The fact that you would invoke this fake, non-existent category of speech as exempt from the First Amendment that you're going to go after is totally disqualifying and embarrassing and incoherent and absurd. And it is just not okay. And you can't put out a clarifying statement like this that says something different than what you originally said and then also still doesn't even make sense. Because to say this, oh, well, hate speech that goes into this territory, then it's just that thing. You know, you guys get what I'm saying? This is not good. And even what she writes here isn't correct. So, for example, that we've watched the radical left normalize threats, call for assassinations, and cheer on political violence. That era is over. First two, threats or calls for assassination, fair enough. I think that gets into murky territory. But as despicable as I find it to be, cheering for political violence is not a crime. Look, if you want to, I find it so despicable and horrible, but if you want to sit there and say on camera, on Facebook or whatever, as an American citizen, that you're glad Charlie Kirk is dead or that you're happy he was killed, that's free speech. That's protected by the First Amendment. Now, we can still potentially socially treat you differently because of it, but the government can't actually punish that speech. Does not meet any existing exception to the First Amendment. And again, hate speech or hateful speech is free speech. So Pam Bondi is totally off base here. And it wasn't just this one thing. She made another claim that also totally violates everything conservatives and Republicans are supposed to understand and believe about the First Amendment. Listen to this.
Businesses cannot discriminate. If you want to go in and print posters with Charlie's pictures on them for a vigil, you have to let them do that. We can prosecute you for that. I have Harmeet Dillon right now in our civil rights unit looking at that immediately, that Office Depot had done that. We're looking at that.
So this part is also totally wrong and incoherent and absurd because one, she's totally mischaracterizing what happened with Office Depot. They had some rogue employees who refused to print memorial flyers for Charlie Kirk. They then fired those employees. So they didn't do anything wrong. They handled the situation correctly. That wasn't their policy. The company didn't take a stand and say, we won't promote memorials for Charlie Kirk. But actually, I would find it contemptible. I would find it horrible if a company, and I would boycott them. But if a company like Office Depot, if the people that own that company wanted to say, no, we are not going to create flyers that support Charlie Kirk, we disagree with that, they would have a First Amendment right to do that. The same way that the Christian Baker and others like them that Pam Bondi have defended over the years had a First Amendment right to not bake a gay wedding cake because it disagreed with their beliefs and their philosophy. Companies could refuse to print posters of Charlie Kirk or flyers about him, promoting him if they wanted to. And that would be entirely within their constitutional and legal rights. So you couldn't prosecute them. You couldn't punish them civilly or for civil rights violations or anything like that. It's nonsense. It's legally illiterate. And again, at odds with what conservatives and Republicans are supposed to stand for. It makes no sense. It's just really bizarre stuff. So Mike Solana of Pirate Wires tweeted, "The office supply store just fired their stupid, terrible employees, which is the owner's right. But had they decided they did not want to print the flyers, our court just famously ruled that a baker can bake whatever the F he wants, which feels relevant here." What's crazy is that she seems to be saying this all over town, which implies some kind of meeting took place where this new messaging was decided upon. This is not a gaffe. These are talking points. This is an excellent point because Pam Bondi has made these comments across multiple different interviews and venues. Hate speech. We're going to prosecute companies for taking a stand and disagreeing on something and refusing to print it. These aren't gaffes. Not a slip of the tongue. It's a position they decided to land on that is totally at odds with free speech and the First Amendment and with what most conservatives actually say they believe and stand for. So I think it's totally unacceptable and short-sighted. I want to also include this commentary from the right-wing radio host Eric Erickson, who disagree with on a fair amount, but I always respect his viewpoint. He wrote, "In the last 24 hours, the Attorney General of the United States declared hate speech is prosecutable, and the DOJ will target small businesses that do not want to work with individuals whose views they dislike. She must think she is the Attorney General of the United Kingdom." He continued, "If Pam Bondi thinks a small business can be prosecuted for refusing to do business with someone, every Christian baker in America will be prosecuted for declining cakes for gay weddings. If Pam Bondi thinks hate speech is a thing that is both real and prosecutable, every preacher in America will be prosecuted for quoting scripture on marriage and two genders." So I think all of this pushback is totally fair and justified, and that Pam Bondi is really in the wrong here. Frankly, it does give me hope that so much of the conservative commentariat is like in revolt against her. So wait, maybe they actually do believe in these things. They're not all just total hypocrites like her. But I think she's got to go. I think she's got to resign or be fired by Trump, because if you don't believe in the First Amendment, or if you don't even understand the First Amendment, you should not be the Attorney General of the United States. That's my hot take. But you guys, let me know what you think. Let me know if you agree. Make sure you're subscribed if you aren't yet. Hit that like button while you're at it. And if you enjoy these short form breaking news videos, make sure to sign up and subscribe to listen to full episodes of my podcast, Bread versus Everyone, where I break down the craziest stories on the internet, in our media, and our politics, all from an independent perspective. The link to subscribe for full episodes to that is in the description. And guys, with that, we'll be back with more content real soon.